Love is often celebrated as an unbreakable bond, a force that can conquer all. But what happens when that love is built on secrets, deception, and a truth too dangerous to reveal? In this story, a wedding meant to mark the beginning of forever spirals into a night of betrayal and bloodshed. Set in a quiet, upscale neighborhood, this haunting tale unfolds behind the walls of what should have been a perfect celebration, where joy and anticipation masked dark secrets that were moments from erupting. This is the story of Alexandro, Isabella, and Adrian. 3 lives forever altered by the choices they made and the truths they tried to hide. At the heart of this tragedy was Isabella, a radiant bride deeply in love, preparing to walk down the aisle toward Alexandro, her devoted groom. Adrian, Alexandro's lifelong best friend, stood proudly by his side as best man. The 3 were inseparable, bound by years of shared memories, trust, and what seemed like unshakable friendship. But beneath the surface of that close-knit bond lay something else, something unspoken. Alexandro and Adrian shared a connection deeper than anyone could see. They had spent years denying and burying it beneath expectations and fear. But as the wedding drew closer, their unspoken truth threatened to shatter the lives they had carefully constructed. Alexandro loved Isabella, he truly did. But something had shifted. With each passing day, he felt trapped between the life he was expected to live and the one his heart quietly longed for. His mind was tormented by guilt, confusion, and a yearning he could no longer control. Adrian felt it too. The glances, the touches, the moments that lingered just a little too long, they were no longer just accidents. They were confessions without words. Their bond had changed one night, just weeks before the wedding. What began as innocent companionship escalated into a moment of passion, confusion, and fear. They crossed a line neither of them ever intended to, and they knew they could never go back. But with the wedding looming, they chose silence, chose to pretend, chose to hide the truth from Isabella. The day of the wedding arrived. Guests filled the venue, and laughter and champagne flowed freely. Isabella, glowing with happiness, walked down the aisle toward the man she believed would love her unconditionally. But Alexandro's heart pounded not with joy, but with dread. Adrian stood nearby, wearing the smile of a best man and the weight of a secret lover. Vows were exchanged. The couple was pronounced husband and wife. The guests cheered. But Alexandro's soul was unraveling. Every word he spoke felt hollow. Every kiss was stolen. He looked at Adrian more than once during the ceremony, searching for answers that wouldn't come. At the reception, Isabella was radiant. Alexandro was a shadow of himself. He laughed on cue and danced when prompted, but his eyes wandered. His hand trembled as he raised his glass. Adrian was no better. His every movement was forced, his every smile laced with quiet agony. The room buzzed with celebration, unaware of the storm swelling just beneath the surface. Later that night, in the bridal suite, Isabella reached for her new husband, but Alexandro pulled away. He said he was tired, overwhelmed, and exhausted from the day. She believed him or tried to. But something in her gut whispered that something was wrong. Hell was dark and silent. He made his way to Adrian's room, heart pounding. When the door opened, and their eyes met, no words were needed. He stepped inside. There, in the quiet of that room, everything they had hidden came rushing back. Alexandro tried to talk, to make sense of it all. But instead, they gave in. Again. A final moment of intimacy, desperate, chaotic, and soaked in guilt. When it was over, Alexandro sat at the edge of the bed, his head in his hands. Adrian said nothing. The silence screamed. Meanwhile, Isabella stirred in the bridal suite. She reached for Alexandro. He wasn't there. She searched the room, panic rising. She called his name, but there was no answer. She wrapped herself in a robe and left the room, heart racing. And then she found his trail. Drawn by a force she didn't understand, Isabella made her way to Adrian's room. She knocked once. No answer. She knocked again, louder. Finally, the door creaked open. Adrian stood there, shirtless, breath caught. And behind him, Alexandro. Time froze. She didn't need to hear a word. She saw everything in their eyes. The betrayal, the guilt, the love they thought they could hide. Her world collapsed. Rage erupted. Isabella screamed, demanded answers. Alexandro tried to explain, but there was nothing he could say. The pain was too sharp, too fresh. She lunged at him, fists clenched, screaming words even she couldn't remember. In her fury, she grabbed a heavy lamp and swung. The impact sent Alexandro crashing to the floor. Blood pooled around him. Adrian dropped to his knees, trying to stop the bleeding, but it was already too late. Alexandro's eyes, once full of conflict, were now still. Isabella froze. Shock, horror, and grief rippled through her body. And then, something inside her broke again. She turned on Adrian, blaming him, hating him, loving him, all at once. She struck again. The second blow landed. Silence. Two men lay lifeless on the floor, one her husband, the other her husband's secret. Isabella collapsed beside them. Her cries echoed through the room, desperate, broken, hollow. She tried to shake Alexandro awake, whispering apologies, wishing she could rewind time. But there was no answer. There would never be. The room, once prepared for celebration, was now soaked in blood and regret. The scent of flowers mingled with the smell of death. The wedding that was meant to begin a lifetime had ended in irreversible tragedy. As the first light of morning crept through the windows, Isabella sat alone. Her dress was torn. Her hands were stained. Her mind shattered. There was no going back. The rings, once symbols of unity, now lay discarded. Silent witnesses to a love triangle no one saw coming. As we fade to black, we leave you with this final thought. In a world where the truth is often hidden beneath layers of deception, what are the risks we take by living a life that is not true to who we are? And when those secrets come to light, who bears the ultimate cost? This story reminds us of how quickly love can turn to destruction, of how secrets, no matter how deeply buried, always find a way to surface. And when they do, someone always pays the price. Isabella, Alexandro, Adrian. 3 lives, 1 secret, and a night that changed everything. Thank you for watching The Crime Vaults. If this story left you shaken, subscribe and turn on notifications for more true stories, both solved and unsolved. Until next time, stay safe and never ignore the silence.